Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this morning's weekly EMA Exchange webinar. These happen every Thursday morning at 8:30. If you're joining us live, thank you very much, and if you're watching this on demand, also thank you for taking a look. For this webinar, we asked you, where do you keep the knowledge of suppliers, cities, destinations you have? Where do you find new insight, ideas, and inspiration? And for a lot of people, we believe the answer is on a bit of paper, in my head, or sometimes nowhere. Once the event's done, maybe some people don't keep any sort of such records. We wanted to provide you with a solution or the chance to introduce you to a solution that can help you do all of that. Store your information and share it amongst your colleagues and peers. To that end, today I am joined by Anna Fox, one of our EMA Council members. She's our content lead sitting on the EMA Council. She also works for Liberty Global, and she has some experience of the platform we're talking about today, which is micebook.com. And we're joined by Chetan Shah, CEO of micebook.com, to tell us a bit more about it, how it works, where it came from. First off, Anna, why don't you tell us just a bit more about you and your experience thus far with Micebook?
Sure. So I've been with Liberty Global for coming up to 7.5 years. Been in the events industry for 20 plus years without giving my age away. I started when I was 10, obviously. On the EMA Council, as you had said, and we had our previous call and catch up with yourself and Chet about Micebook. And you know, having had a look around a couple of times, I think it's an absolutely brilliant tool. To your point, I think we retain a lot of the stuff just in our head, and over the years you just see so many venues do so many events, so it's nice to have one platform where everything can go. That's almost a brain dump, but helpful to other people as well. That's not the sales pitch that you're just getting from venues. It's actually, you know, this is what peer experience is, this is what my industry is saying about when they've used venues or suppliers. So yeah, incredibly helpful tool.
Cool, thank you, Anna. And just before I pass over to Chet, who can tell us more about it, please feel free to use the chat function. Please feel free to use the Q&A facility, ask questions. There will be time at the end. And Anna will no doubt have a few questions to ping to Chet. And maybe Chet may have some questions for you guys to get your thoughts. So without any more delay, I'm going to hand over to Chetan to tell us a bit more about micebook.com.
Hi, morning everyone. Chet from Micebook. Some of you may have seen the tool before. We've been a partner of EMA for a few years, and you may have interacted with us through maybe some events. But our core platform is all about knowledge share. The whole background to this, very quickly, is I used to be agency side. I went to loads of destination showcases, lots of hotel events. Suppliers used to come to the offices. I had teams going out all over the world, across London, across the UK, and gaining so much great intel. And when they came back, all we're doing is shouting around the office, where is, you know, who's the contact for that hotel, or who's the representation company for that DMC? Does anyone know the Convention Bureau contact for London Partners or for Bristol? And essentially that was the pain point that we're trying to address. So Micebook is three things. It's a contact database. It is a inspiration hub for places you may not know. And more importantly, it's your knowledge share, but within a closed network. So if you think TripAdvisor, but just between your network, your company, your agency, or in this case, EMA. So I'm going to take about 15-20 minutes to quickly show you the core functionality. By all means, then I'm going to really just come on to questions and how it might be used by EMA to actually just help each other when events industry comes back, which we hope will be very soon. Okay, I'm going to screen share, 1 second. If you can just pop into the chat that you can, well, Anna, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so micebook.com, it's a website. It's mobile, you can use it on any device. And essentially, first thing you've got is a search box. If I'm just going to quickly show you Supplier Search. So at the moment, you've got sector types such as tourism bureaus, representation companies, DMCs, hotels, venues, and airlines. So you could search in any destination. So let's say you're looking at Bristol for an event. You can obviously filter the search, and you can just hit search and you'll get all sorts of results. Let it load. So you've got 41 results of, you've got the Convention Bureau, you've got hotels, you might have some DMCs, etc. Also, if you did filter by hotel and venue, you've got an advanced search tool. So a bit like a venue search tool, but it's definitely not what we see ourselves at. You can search by country or by city, number of bedrooms, capacity, etc. So what do you get when you do a search? So I've just got some preloaded profiles. So this is a DMC in Africa, which we long to go back to, I'm sure. You've got the content and the profile layout is very similar to all of the sector profiles. So you've got the big image, you've got the website links, social, a bit like LinkedIn. Sorry, just moving the other way. You've got likes. You can click on those to see who's liked the profile. And then you've got the core image, the general image, descriptions. You've got contact details of who to put your inquiry through to. I've been to so many showcases, so many events where we're networking with different suppliers, and they all send you their emails with their PDFs of floor plans or sample programs or menus, etc. Doesn't get filed very properly, but here they can upload all of their documents. And you've got image banks, which you can use for proposals, videos, recommendations, and also things like linked companies. So who is their rep company in the UK? So if that was a DMC in Malta, Portugal, link to their rep company, which you can click onto and see and get their details if you want to talk to them directly. For DMCs and convention bureaus, you've got sub pages, which basically if I'm looking at South Africa, but actually I'm looking at Cape Town, you've got a whole page on Cape Town in terms of what you can do. So you've got download materials, descriptions, and then you've got all the different activities. So if you just want a bit of a brainstorm of what you can do, you can visit the CVB pages, DMC pages, and just get that kind of top line inspiration. I'm not monitoring the chat, so Anna, do stop me if there's anything coming through that needs my attention. I'm just clicked on a hotel profile. So again, similar layout. You've got the website, social, who to contact. This is Hotel Brooklyn, just opened in Manchester. You've got the documents area, you've got the brochures. You've also got all of their bedroom numbers and theatre capacities, etc. How hard is that to find on a hotel website? And then you've got things like virtual tours integrated. So if they have that where you can click in, of course, at the moment, it's very hard to get out and about and visit hotels to do site inspections, even though you may have something, you know, coming in 2021 where you can just go and visit and do a virtual site inspection. And then you've got photo galleries. Again, you can take these images for your proposals, and they're normally the really good images that the hotels, of course, want you to use. So that's supplier search. I'll leave that there for now, and I'll come back to that to explore if you have questions. Then you've got, just move that down a sec. On the top bar, you've got destinations. So if you click in destinations, you've got all the continents. So you can search, you can drill into a continent, then a country, then a city. You've also got experience guides, which are not by borders, but more by theme. So emerging destinations, sustainability, and it holds all of our articles, suppliers, useful information in these guides. If you clicked into Europe, you've got all the different countries. And just to show you a guide, this is Malta, and this is just a general inspiration hub. We write lots of content every week where we're talking about new hotel openings, different activities you can do, new hotel openings in Bristol, for example. And you can click into the article because when we send the article out, it may not be relevant, but in 6 months' time, you are actually looking at Malta as a destination, and you can click in and read the article. And then it brings in the DMCs, the hotels, shopping, dining. And if you want to just scroll, you can see just those elements. So if you just want some general images, you can just click on the image bank. And of course, within, you've got the whole world, but of course you have the UK, and you can click into any city and get similar information. So that's destination guides. And finally, most importantly, there's a tab right at the top called boards. So when you're logged in, you'll be part of the EMA network and you will see your boards. And this is only for EMA to see. Nobody else will see this intel. So you click in and you'll see all the boards that have been created. So here's one I prepared earlier, true Blue Peter style. And this is a sample board that we just created, which is on Japan. It's got, you can personalize the board name, description, and image. And I always do recommend you personalize the image to make it very visual. And on that board, you can add images. So it could be you're on a site inspection. I want to just take an image of the ballroom. Could be documents, could be sample menus that they've sent you, could be sample programs, could be an article you read in Condé Nast, you think it's really worth saving. You've got a notes section. Do not use this hotel. Do not use this hotel because it's going under refurbishment, etc. Or it could be a website link, visa information, like I said, an article from Condé Nast. So all of that goes onto the board and is saved here. That board is private when you first create a board, so it will live here in your personal boards, which means nobody can see it apart from yourself. As soon as you hit the Share Now button, that will go into the EMA Hub, which will be under company boards. So we're treating EMA as a company, and it will actually all live here. So that means anyone in EMA can see your board, can edit your board, look at the information and add to it as well. So your information is a lot stronger for EMA as a group. The other place where you can store information is on any supplier profile. All of this information, as you saw, is public, but here it opens up the EMA Hub. And here you can write your notes on any supplier. If anyone else at EMA has written notes, they'll be able to see them here. If you've got some images you just want to share with EMA about a site inspection of the ballroom or conversations you've had with that supplier, or documents they've sent you, so maybe you've got a floor plan with the ballroom kitted out with a stage, you can add that here. Or if you've got your own contacts, that can be saved here as well. So that's, and finally, one final thing actually, if you're using, say, a supplier in, that doesn't exist, so say you're doing an event in Cambridge and it's a hotel that's not on MySbook, you can just add that supplier, so you can then save that note, and also you can save that profile and add it to a board, and you can add notes to it. So that's the quick walkthrough. And really, I can answer questions.
I have a couple of questions, actually, Chet, if that's all right, if I can just kick off with a couple.
Sure.
I mean, from our previous conversations, I know the number, but I think it would be interesting for people to know how many suppliers you have in the platform itself. And then also, is it populated? So all the suppliers that you have in there, has it been entirely populated by yourself initially, or do the suppliers have access and they can put their own thing? Or is it entirely populated by the members that have then since, added to it? Because you've got quite a few suppliers in there.
That's right. So we've got about 8,000 suppliers and growing daily. And initially, we populated it with being in the industry for almost longer than you, 25 years, I think now. We built up a huge network. So we went to all of the hotel groups to say, get your hotels on. We went to all of the rep companies, say, put your DMCs on. And then it's the community that have been adding suppliers. And then we've been adding every 5-star hotel in the world. We've been adding 4-star hotels in key markets like the UK and building the database with some core information so that you've got a good, rich set of data to start with at least. But we're not a venue find tool. We're not a directory. We are a supplier relationship management tool. So like you have a CRM, it's about you adding your suppliers, but then building that bank of your knowledge against that supplier, and then that supplier can enhance that information with images, documents, etc.
And then do you need permission from the suppliers to actually be on MySbook? Or let's say, could I add one and then they don't know that they're on there?
So what happens is when you click the add a supplier, essentially it is a invitation to them to join. If you've added them and they see your name and company, I think they're going to be pretty happy to be put onto MySbook. So that's quite powerful. And I've not seen a time when someone's done that and they said, no, we don't want to be on MySbook, because it's essentially their listing is free to start with. So, or always, actually always. So their basic listing and business model is that they can have an image, description, web address, all for free. But if they want to enhance their profile, they essentially have a membership fee where they enhance their content. But we're sort of changing that model. But essentially, and if they don't see the email register within 24 hours, we create that profile for them and then follow up with them. So at least you can get going with adding your information and content.
And is there an area, sorry, I can see there's other questions coming in, so this will be my last one for now. Is there an area that in which they can respond? You had said it was similar to TripAdvisor. So if somebody gets a bad review on TripAdvisor, you tend to see the general manager or somebody come in and say, oh, sorry about your bad experience. Or so if somebody or one of the suppliers were to see a comment, let's say, you know, there was noisy refurbishment during my conference, can they respond to that, to the person that's put that up?
No, because they don't see that. They don't, because the whole idea is this hub area and the boards is only private for the company, agency, or EMA in this case, because we feel like in TripAdvisor you can burn a hotel because you've had a bad experience, because you never have to go back. But in our industry, it's better to work through problems, but it's also good still to note them down about what the issues were, so that you can at least make your team aware of the issues that were had. But so it's private information, so the hotel or the supplier will never see that intel.
Sure. Okay.
Happy to go to other questions, but I just want to add one more thing. Where are we now? We're about to go into May. So this month, we're going to add a whole load of new supplier types into MySbook. So at the moment, it's very international. Yes, we've got a huge amount of UK stuff, but we're going to add, to start with, freelancers. And then we're going to build out caterers, production companies, florists, magicians, bands. All of those subsector types can be added. And we really look to the EMA as to what you want added, because then we can add them and you can then save all of those suppliers, because it's important to know which photographer you used in Manchester or which florist you used, etc. What rates you paid or what deals you might have. And if EMA can benefit from a good pool of local suppliers, then, you know, that's going to be stronger for EMA.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, there's nothing else like this out there that I know of. I think it's, it's a fantastic platform.
Thank you. And we're working really hard to improve it all the time. So you saw the notes functionality at the bottom, which had previously it only had my notes and team notes, but then the community said to us, wouldn't it be good if we could add our own images and documents and our own contacts, because it might be different. So we thought, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's build that. So if EMA feedback as to what they're liking or how they'd like to see the platform improved, you know, we'll take it on board.
Yeah, very good.
Thanks, Chet. Now, there are some questions coming in. There's one question here there's two questions that are relatively similar. How do you ensure all the contact details are up to date, and also how do you ensure supplier pages are up to date?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and it's definitely a big challenge because we've got so many suppliers. So what we've done is, if they're a premium supplier, we do show the contact details, and because they're going to be invested in keeping their profile up to date, they've paid for the privilege, and so we check their contact details every 6 months and engage with them to make sure it's they need to edit it or improve their contact. So we have someone dedicated to doing that. If they're not a premium member, then actually we hide their contact details here. We have an inquiry button and you have the web address. So we know we can manage that far more effectively. The other key way is the more and more the community use this tool, the more and more the suppliers know that this is a tool that they need to keep up to date. So we're relying on the community to help us spread the word. If they're using MySbook, if they found this content information, then mention MySbook. and that will help keep the content up to date.
Okay, and then in terms of some other sort of questions, one other question that has come through. So obviously on sort of the more macro level, you're looking at destinations, and then within that hotels, DMCs, those sorts of things. What about other more localized suppliers, such as your caterers, production, transport, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so this month, as I said, we're going to launch so look exactly the same in terms of profile. You'll be able to click here and you'll be able to see search for freelancers, and you'll be able to advance search by, okay, I need a proposal writer, or I just need some on-site staff, or I need someone who can speak Spanish. So you'll be able to advance search on freelancer, and it's going to be a free thing that we're going to be delivering to freelancers because they're massively impacted by what's going on. And then as soon as we've done that, we're going to be able to add all sorts of other suppliers. So like you said, caterers, production companies, florists, and we'll expand that list out, and it's very easy then on the platform to add those as and when we need. And if EMA say, right, these are our top 5 that we want, and we'll get them set up, within minutes.
Okay. Another question in here from a gentleman you may know. Are you commission based?
Richard, do you want to kick back? No, no, we're not commission based. That's the whole one. So essentially, we don't get involved at all in terms of any inquiry. So if you click on a profile and you use the Make Inquiry button, you can that actually just goes directly to the supplier, and we don't get involved at all. There's no commission on, and we don't get involved in the inquiry. Sorry, and one other thing I forgot to mention as I saw it is, on every supplier, there's an add to board button. So I showed you boards before. So say you've got a board on Cambridge, and this is a Cambridge hotel. You can just go, right, let me add that to my Cambridge board, so that it's a quick find into that supplier on the Cambridge board.
That's a really useful tool.
And in terms of, you and I have chatted about this before, but I guess just a bit more clarity. So if I come across a venue, a hotel, whatever it might be that is not on MySbook, I can actually add it to MySbook, can't I?
Yeah.
In terms of,
yeah. So add or improve a supplier here, which is just a invitation, and within 24 hours it will go live. So again, this is all about not a directory, but it's about you as EMA or as individual companies managing your global or local supplier base, so that you've got those contact details. So you're not shouting around the office going, who's the amazing florist we used that did those incredible centerpieces for that, boardroom meeting. It's there, and your colleagues. And the other thing is that if somebody new joins your company or EMA as a member, they start with nothing. Or if somebody leaves, all that knowledge is gone. You can't remember, you can't ask them, oh, who was that amazing florist? Whereas here, at least they've put it down, they put a note, you know what the experience was like, and you can benefit from that in the future. So it's all about yes, the front end is, we've got 8,000 suppliers, but it's all about EMA putting content in here which helps other members. And the more you do that, the better it is for the EMA group.
it's that knowledge sharing piece, really, isn't it? It's sharing knowledge amongst peers who are all in-house corporate event professionals.
Yeah, and they're not competitive to each other, so there's probably more you guys can actually share than, say, an agency. Well, agencies don't share with agencies, essentially. They'll just be their own group of people that work for the agency.
And another question, so in terms of files that one can link to a board, so if I've got a board I created an event in Manchester and I've got a board that I've done for that, what can I add? What documents can I upload or link to?
Yeah, so on that Manchester board, you can add PowerPoint, Excel, Word, PDF, any of those. And similarly on say you're using a hotel, Brooklyn in Manchester, you can again on that profile add any type of document, or like office type document.
Okay, and in terms of, so the system we're talking about at the moment is to give, obviously with our membership, the EMA membership, give them an opportunity to use the system. And to that end, we're creating for those of you who are watching, we're creating a MySbook working group that will be led by Anna to get you familiarized with it, get you using it, and then hopefully suggest it to peers and colleagues. And to start with, we'll be using the EMA group, where you can share your information and get information from other people. What happens though, Chet, if they then want to say, well, actually, this is great, but I want it just for my team. So they can then create a company group?
Yeah, they can create a company group, so they can log and have, so Liberty, for example, can have, so you go to top right-hand corner, click login, register as buyer, you fill out some basic information. And at the moment, what we're looking at is in the company details, you put in EMA, so you're part of the EMA network. So if you choose that, then you'll be able to share information across the whole of EMA. And I guess what we need to look at is it needs to be a unique email address. So if they wanted to then create a Liberty group, you'd need a different email address. That's the only difference. So it may be that they're using a personal email address for EMA and a company email address for their own company group to start with. But I think what we're looking at is starting via the EMA network as the choice here to get it going and to see how effective it is for everyone.
And I guess just also on that, so the only people who will have access to our EMA group are EMA members. I am the gatekeeper of that, so it's secure. We're not going to have people using it that don't meet our EMA criteria. But Chet, in terms of security of information, because it's been a big topic of conversation for a while now, so cybersecurity, how secure is it?
Yeah, so it's all hosted on Amazon web servers and the servers are stored in Europe, so it's got all of the protection. And we also use Cloudflare as a kind of, I don't know how to describe it because I'm not techie, but essentially it's another layer of protection that it has to go through before it retrieves and shows information.
Okay. I mean, I guess, is there any other questions from those that have signed in about, or comments as to sort of things that they want in terms of being able to store and share information? Is there anything that springs to mind that has anything come up for you whilst Chetan's been showing us overview of the system? And Anna, have you got anything that sort of come to mind for you, or that might be useful for just particularly for you as an event organizer?
Yeah, of course. I think one thing that I can see in this, and certainly for the EMA, is to maybe get a bit of an incentive or a little bit of competition going. I think we had spoken before about if someone creates the best board, there might be an incentive, a small prize, maybe one of the venues could offer an afternoon tea, or just something just to kind of create a little bit of community and a slight bit of competition. I think it might be nice just to get people using it, and the more you use it, the more you're going to get used to using it and seeing the value of the tool. So
it's creating a new behavior, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I know from my days running my own business, my own event agency way back when, I've still got hard drives of information, but none of that information is in any way decipherable. It's just bits. It's just really random. And so a tool like this is very much. I think it's a fantastic way of keeping everything in one place, with also the additional resources. Like I remember writing proposals, that I'd have to show people, or, if you're trying to put together a business case for internal stakeholders, you've got loads of reference material within this system to speed up that process, actually, rather than trying to search Google for an image that turns out to be rubbish.
Yeah. Knowing that this is more current and the people actually putting the input into it are your own peers, it's the industry, which is who you want to hear from, right? So they're the ones that you're most likely to trust, rather than a Google search or an external review, and you just don't know who's written it. So,
and also if you've got the salesperson from a hotel, they're going to say we're the best hotel ever, and they may be good, but you're going to get some honest feedback from your peers within the EMA community, rather than the hotel necessarily going to say, well,
absolutely,
this bit's a bit rubbish. What have we got here? So again, from RW, numerous different contacts at hotels. How can I add my contact? Difficult now to visit cities' properties. Need to get ready for when markets open. Presentations by properties? ?
Yeah, so we have the main contact for the hotel here for sales inquiries for MICE, for our events industry, not leisure or any other. And down here, you've got that tab where if you've got your own contacts, you can add that here, and you can add a note as to who that contact might represent or look after. So it might be looks after corporate accounts, etc. And yes, hotels can, or any suppliers can be adding their brochures, etc., their presentations here. You've also got the 3D tour. And yes, definitely one of the things we're looking at is, okay, when this industry does come back, people are going to want to know what are their policies of hygiene, what are they doing to make people feel safe, that you can then take to your stakeholders that are nervous about putting on an event. You can say, well, these are all the protocols and procedures that are in place by this supplier, by this venue, to make sure that everyone's safe. And you don't want to, and equally, EMA, if you've got, I know you've got 800-900 members, imagine all of those going out to all of the venues and then storing that intel somewhere. How powerful would that be for everyone? If one of the documents down here is a collective, if anyone gets any information about a venue that of their procedures for dealing with COVID and mitigating risks, then stick it here, and then that would be amazing.
I just need to correct you on one slightly factually inaccurate. We're 1,062 members.
Well done, James. You've not been sitting on your butt. Well done.
Yeah. Busy.
I'd be interested to know from anyone else other than RW, but thank you for all your great questions. What made you come to this webinar? What do you think it could be used for? Any other feedback? And what do you use now? Do you see this having a place?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, one question I would ask is, does anyone see any barriers to using this? Not from their, from like a potentially an organizational point of view.
Not for me. I think it's a really useful tool. It really is. And it'd be interesting to see, if I see names on there I recognise or other industry peers or maybe people that I used to work with or something. There's, a sense of community as well, right? So it'd be interesting to see other people's thoughts on venues as well. Whereas, we've all got our favourite venues or suppliers, and, I'm not quiet about my favourite hotels in London, for example. So it's always useful to hear what other people think of those venues, and having the whole EMA community on there. If we can get everyone on board, 50% of the EMA on there, I think it would be a huge collaboration tool. So
I think so. I think it's just another way of it's another way of people just sharing that information rather than waiting for like one of our monthly events where people do network and share knowledge. Oh, I did this. I know, Anna, you very much very active at that and saying, oh, I've been to this and I did that. It's a way of sort of in real time sharing valuable information.
Yeah, of course. Chet, where else do you advertise this? I mean, I only know of it through the EMA. So how else do you reach out to, the industry?
So we've got a huge database that we do lots of content where we share. We do a newsletter every week. We hold live events where we bring the supply and buyer community together. We're at pretty much all the trade shows. We're in partnership with IMEX, so we're at with EMA actually. We share stands sometimes. So we're at IMEX, Frankfurt and Vegas, meeting show. So yeah, we're out and about, and a lot of it is also via, like I said, the hotel global sales offices, by the rep companies promoting us to not only the buyer side but also their kind of DMCs and hotels.
Sure.
Couple of other things that have just come in. I organise events within our own venues. I'm also wondering if it will have information on Northwest England suppliers.
So yes, it will have information on Northwest England suppliers because we have information on all suppliers everywhere. Whether we have specifically your own venues on there, possibly not, depending on, could you say what they are? Is it like an etc. venues or something? If not, then you can add them onto the portal, like I was saying, and then they can be found and pinned and notes can be added. So, and that, again, repeating, this is your database. So you may just do events in, like I said, Cambridge, for example, and we may not have the 3 or 4 hotels or the local, when we have the local side. It's for you to add those onto here, for you to manage.
Can international teams collaborate?
Anyone can collaborate, yeah.
And another comment from RW. I see the smaller team collaborating through EMA, the larger ones having their own profiles. I mean, that may be true. We'll just see how that goes.
Yeah, and I think, to what we need to do, if you feel this tool is interesting for EMA, is we've talked about getting a working group of people just to start playing around, building boards, adding some notes. And I think actually the COVID idea of having a task force to gather as much information as possible, because that army of 1,000 EMA members is going to be one of the most powerful event groups in the country, that could solicit the most amazing information that could be be so beneficial more for the members. That could be a great way to at least showcase the benefit. And you could create a COVID-19 board where certain information is pinned, that is the most up-to-date information, regulations. There's so much good content out there, but it's actually a bit too much. So you could actually say, right, these are some of the best highlighted and most up-to-date articles. Let's create a board. You can add them as web links, or you could PDF the document and add it. That could be something to start with.
That's a nice idea, actually. So we have one more comment here. I currently store everything on electronic files. My only barrier is everything I do is UK based, so I'd only use very small amount of functionality. Does that matter? Check.
Not at all, no, because we've got a load of huge amount of UK venues and hotels on the site. And as I said, the local supplier will be live this month. So all your other local suppliers, coach companies, etc., can all be added, and then the same benefit of the functionality applies to those suppliers.
Fantastic. Right, we are coming to the end of our time for this morning. Does anyone else have any final? Oh yes, here we go. One last question in. Some companies don't like to advertise where they've held events, as perception is such a big thing at the moment. Is it possible to create boards or groups but keep the company name out of it?
As in their own company? Yeah, so, well, essentially you're part of EMA, so that's hidden anyway. So you can, the way we're looking at doing it right now is via the EMA, so you don't need to create a company profile. Furthermore, all of the notes and boards are private anyway. They're only for the EMA members to see. So if you're still concerned about EMA members seeing that, then of course you're not actually, you can not add your company name to the details, but you can still store the details of that knowledge of that supplier, etc.
Okay, so that information can be kept private, as you said. Does anyone else have any final comments or questions for Chetan? No. Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you, anyone who's watching this on demand. Thank you, Chet. Thank you, Anna. To all of you who have joined us today live, you'll be getting an email from me asking if you'd be interested to join our EMA MiceBook working group that, as I said earlier, will be led by Anna, which is just an opportunity to sort of actually start utilizing the tool, helping us at the EMA build up the information on our group. When live events start happening and when EMA starts running live events, I will be using it as sort of my event planning hub. So we will be generating more info, but anything that you guys can help with now would be amazing. That's it from me. Chetan, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, and thanks for time and having me. And MiceBook.com, you can just register and have a play around, really, to start with. Cool, thank you. Yeah, MiceBook.com. As Chet says, it's really easy to register as well. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Thank you, Anna. Thank you for your time, and I'll be in touch in regards to our working group. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.